Hello, New Manchester subscribers. Welcome to another video. Actually, this is not a video. This is another voice recording. So, I'm thinking about doing more of these in the future because, I kind of like these. So, anyway, let me get down to what this video is all about. Okay. Okay, I've been watching videos on YouTube. I've been watching videos on YouTube through Fire TV, and I found a guy by the name of Aaron Stark. Okay, his last name is spelled Stark, Stark. And I watched a video of him doing a speech through TED Talks, and he talked about him growing up in a drug addicted, aggressive, violent family and being picked on. And he said that all of that drove him to become a mass shooter. And he said that he almost became a mass shooter until he had a friend that stepped in. Someone who became his friend stepped in and helped him out and treated him like another person and gave him love, and told him, hey, let's go watch some movies. Let's do this. Let's do that. And this all took place when he was a teenager. So I'm going to go ahead and read this and give my thoughts on this. Okay. It's a post that I found online from Aaron Stark through a speech that he did on TED Talks, and it's titled "I Almost Became a Mass Shooter," or I almost became a school shooter. Okay, and it reads as follows: I was almost a school shooter. In 1996, Denver, Colorado, I was a student in North High. In a moment of pain and anger, I almost committed a terrible atrocity. Growing up, I'd learned early on there was a strange comfort and calmness in darkness. I was always the new kid. My family was violent and aggressive, drug-addicted parents. We were moving from place to place, went to 30 or 40 different schools, always seemed to be going to a new school every other week. You woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning by cops to run across the country to end up at a school for a couple of weeks and then have to do it all again a couple of days later. I was a perpetuate new kid, and since I also had an unstable household, I wasn't helped by the fact that I smelled really bad because I never had a shower or did really have any clean clothes. All my clothes were dirty and torn. I had a weight problem. I was smart. I liked comic books at a time when kids didn't really like people who liked comic books that much. So every time I went to a new school, I was in a new set of bullies. They'd walked up to me and shoot me with a harpoon like I was a whale, or dump food on my head because they said I was too fat. But the bullying wasn't just at school. It happened at home a lot too. I was told that I was worthless by just about everybody in my life. When you're told you're worthless enough, you will believe it. Then you're going to do everything to make everybody else agree with it too. I wrapped that darkness around me like a blanket, used it as a shield. It kept the few who agreed with me close, but it kept everyone else away. I always had heard in life that there was good and bad people. I must be one of the bad people. So I guess I'd have to just do what I was supposed to do. So I got really aggressive. At 12 or 13 years old, I got really into heavy metal music, and I was the mosh pit when it went to when I went to concerts. The abuse just never seemed to stop. I got into cutting around 14 or 15 because I figured that there was all this extreme emotion going on in my life I had absolutely no control over. I had to find some way to find control over something, so I took to cutting myself. I still have the scars to this day. At 15, 16 years old, I ended up homeless. My parents had kicked me out because I didn't want to deal with their drunken fighting, so I was living on the streets. I thought I had pushed all my other friends away, shoved them all away by lying to them or stealing from them, doing everything that my family taught me how to react, which was the completely wrong way how to react. But I had no idea. I was just doing what I was taught. Finally, at 16 years old, I'm sitting in my best friend's shed, who I thought I'd already pushed away to by stealing from him and lying to him. Lying in his shed with the roof wide open, with rain pouring down on me into a droggy chair that was covered in cobwebs and dirt which hadn't been touched in months. And I'm sitting there with my arms covered in blood, knowing that if I didn't do something, I was going to kill myself soon. So I did the only thing I could think of to do. I grabbed a phone book and I called social services. So I went to social services. Sadly, they didn't just bring me in there. They also took my mom in there too, who happened to be one of the largest sources of my pain growing up. Since she had spent her life running from place to place, dealing with social workers and police officers, she knew exactly what to say to get them to believe that I was making it all up. It was just an act. I was just doing it for attention. Then they sent me home with her. And as they sent me home with her, she turned to me and said, "Next time, you should do a better job and I'll buy you the razor blades." My heart just got ripped out of me at that point. The darkness I'd been starting at all for so long, I ran headlong into it. I had nothing left to live for. I literally had nothing to lose. And when you have nothing to lose, you can do anything, and that is a terrifying thought. I had decided that my act of doing something was I was going to express my extreme anger and rage by getting a gun. I was going to attack either my school or a mall food court. It really didn't matter which one. It wasn't about the people. It was about the largest amount of damage in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of security. Both of those places were the right targets. So I wish I had a better story about actually getting a gun, but that was actually bothered that actually bothered actually brother business like. But that it was actually brother business like. Excuse me. There were gangbanger kids near my school back in the mid 90s, when gangs were still a major problem in North Denver schools. This kid has seen me, knew my family, and he sold drugs to them before. He knew that I wasn't really in school. I was just always at school. He knew I wasn't a narc or anything like that. I didn't know anything but a first name. That didn't take more than that. I knew they had access to guns. They talked about it all the time. I said, "Hey, can you get me a gun?" "Sure. Get me an ounce." "All right, give me 3 days." That was it. I was waiting to get myself a gun so I could kill a lot of people. But thankfully, I wasn't alone in that darkness. That best friend who have saved me when I was sleeping in the shed, he saw this place that I was in. Even though I had stolen from him and lied to him and taken his belongings and ruined it all, he didn't care. He still brought me in and showed me acts of kindness. Just simple acts. It wasn't the kind of overbearing kindness where they say, there's anything I can do for you? Can I do something to make you better? How can I help you?" It was just sitting down next to me. "Hey, would you like a meal? Let's watch a movie." He treated it like it was a Tuesday. He treated me like I was a person. When someone treats you like a person, when you don't even feel like a human, it'll change your entire world, and it did to me. He stopped me with his acts of kindness from committing that atrocity that day. If you see someone who's in that spot that needs that love, give it to them. Love the ones you feel deserve it the least because they need it the most. It'll help you just it will help you just as much as it helps them. We're in a really dangerous spot now with this trend of arming. We're in a really dangerous spot now with this trend of arming the teachers. Looking out for the kids who might be a threat in schools and maybe turning them into the FBI. What's that going to do to a kid who's in the position I was 25 years ago? Who's alone and depressed and abused and is just sitting there hurting. And someone thinks that they're a threat. He gets turned into the FBI, and 1 month of pain turns into a lifetime of legal troubles because one person thought he was going to be a problem. Instead of looking at that kid like he's a threat, look at him like he might be a friend, like he might be able to bring him into the fold. Show him that it's just a Tuesday. Show him that he is worth it. Show him that he can exist in this pain, even though it's intense, that at the end of it, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I found my light. Now I'm a happy family man. I am a father of 4. My wife and my daughter are in the attendance today. And even bigger than that, my friend who saved my life, he's in the audience today too. Because friendships doesn't really die. We have to give love to the people who we think deserve the least. Thank you. This is some powerful, powerful stuff. I'm sorry for stalling. I was reading that on my smartphone. Um, I was scrolling down, try to scroll more, but it was about the end of it. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, and plus I was trying to follow the words with my finger on the words. So yeah, this guy almost became a mass shooter. He almost became one. And what I just read, a guy, someone coming in and just showing love and treating that person like a human being who's going through a lot of pain in a dysfunctional family, getting bullied and picked on at school. Someone coming in just showing love and showing love to that person and treating that person like a human being, and it just stops them from carrying out the most horrible thing ever imagined. Grabbing a gun and just shooting and killing innocent people. Just shoot and kill people. Turn a gun on himself. Shoot and kill himself or get shot and killed by police. This guy, Aaron Stark, he has a program, I think, has something called You're Not Alone, where he helps people and stop them from becoming mass shooters, and we need more people like that here in the US. And I'm not going to rule out gun control. Gun control can help. We just have gun control and what this guy is doing, and someone who comes in and just treats that person like a human being and gives them love, and stop them from shooting and killing people as a mass shooter. Put all that together, and that will stop mass shooters. But mass shootings going to happen every once in a while, but they're not going to happen all the time like they are right now. all it takes, to stop to stop a Nicholas Cruz, an Elliot Rodger, a George Soudini, and any other mass shooter, to stop those type of people, stop them from becoming a mass shooter. It takes someone with love and treat them like a human being to stop them from doing what they're doing. Stop them from becoming a mass shooter. Stop them from like doing something like that. And give them that love, treating them like a human being. And they'll go down a positive path. They'll end up becoming, a father, a husband, be a family man, have a wife, have children, just being like everybody else, just being a normal person. And when I was growing up, I was picked on. You know, I did things that I regretted. Doing violent things, getting angry and taking my anger out on people, hurting people. When I was a teenager, destroying things. You know, all that because I had shitty parents, had shitty siblings, a brother and a sister. I was around a lot of crappy kids when I was going to school. You know, even though I also had some teachers that told me that I was not going to amount to anything, that I wasn't going to make it because I had a learning disability. A teacher that was so ridiculously strict, that talked about putting kids in dungeons and respect this reminder, respect that reminder, and all this crap. You know, those crappy teachers that I had, those kids who I went to school with, my parents, my sister, my late brother who died in a car accident, and relatives on my mother's side of the family and on my father's side of the family. All those people were basically toxic. And they were. All I can do is just cut ties with them. There was nobody to come in and to show me love and treat me like a human being. When I was a teenager, when I was a kid, I had some friends, but they weren't really true, meaningful friends. You know, they picked on me a little bit, made fun of me, but yeah, I remember I had a spat with people who I went to school with, and he accused me of having these feelings for him and having this obsession with him, picking on me when I was a kid, and I offered him to watch a video on my Facebook page, and he talked about, if you have a video of yourself ranting, raving like you did in that comment or that post that you sent to me, I'm not gonna watch it, and leave me alone. So today, I just cut ties with all of these people. I don't want to have anything to do with these people. I don't want to have anything to do with the teachers that I had in school, the kids who I went to school with, my parents, my sister, relatives on my mother's side of the family, on my father's side of the family. I just want to just cut ties with them and don't want to have anything to do with them, and the people I went to school with and some of the relatives on my mother's side of the family, on my father's side of the family, they don't want to have anything to do with me. They want to forget all about me. And I said some things on an old Facebook page that I had to a woman who I went to school with, and I said some things, that made her think that I was going to become a mass shooter. Because I got into an argument with my dad. My dad was gaslighting me and saying that, oh, I'm angry and you brought all this on yourself. You did this. You always get into stuff. Because my dad has an ego. He gaslighted me, and just said some things to me that was just complete another bullshit. He told me when I went to school, he said that I punched a girl in the face when a girl got done helping me out, did something nice for me. And I never did anything like that. And he told me I did this. But my dad's old. He's in his 70s and he has dementia. He probably does. But at this point, I don't care what anybody thinks of me anymore. They can bring up things that I did in the past as much as they want. Because, at the end of the day, I don't care. And, if I had a friend that was like the friend that Aaron Stark had a long, long time ago, I probably wouldn't be having this YouTube channel. I probably wouldn't be making the videos that I'm making right now on this channel. But I found something. I found a light at the end of the tunnel. Just cut ties with people I knew in the past and just move on and just meet new people. Or better yet, just leave where I'm living at right now and just leave that and leave the entire United States of America and just move to another country. So, that's all I gotta say in this video. Cheers.